We'll call the Woodbury Select Board meeting to order on Monday, March 23rd, 2026 at 6:05 PM. Are there any adjustments to the Select Board agenda? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is to approve the minutes from March 9th and March 15th.
Did you both get a chance to read the ones? I just should have.
The ones you just sent? I did, yep.
Okay.
Did you?
Well, when were these sent?
Yesterday, day
Yes,
before?
I read
Yes,
yes.
Yeah,
and
When,
this is the one
she
from.
said just sent, I was like,
No,
it's
no.
today, no.
No.
But
No.
it was the ones
Okay.
from yesterday,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the March 9th meeting and the March 15th special meeting.
All right, there's a motion to approve the March 9th and March 15th meeting minutes as written. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And we have to sign the minutes. Thank you. All right, we have, the next item is public comment. So it seems like we have a fair number of people here for public comment. If you would,
Separate page with
just
acronyms, you can tear that off.
Just a reminder that the board is here to listen to comments, not necessarily to engage in a discussion with the public, but we're happy to hear comments. If you would, please state your name for the record, and whoever would like to make a comment, please go ahead. Retta?
I'm in the front. Okay, so it's about Act 181 and Act 250. I would like the select board, it's request, the select board to actually have a conversation about this. I don't know what that would look like. One piece of information I would like to know is how much land is in land trust? Is that taxed?
Land trust?
Land, you put your land in land trust, is that?
You mean land use?
Current use.
Current use?
Current use, does that mean you pay less property tax?
Yes.
Okay, how much, I would like to know how much land is in that,
Okay, I think the listeners might be able to tell you that.
probably, because, you know, it's, what's going on in Montpelier is just increasing our taxes unbelievably, and although I have enough money, Wayne and I do, to live our lives, if the legislature keeps going and taxes and property taxes keep going up, 100, 200 a year, I'm like, excuse me, I'm going to run out of money. And this bothers me. And so I would like the town, the little select board, to maybe plan a conversation for people in the town to have, to talk about this, because I see no end in sight, none. And I don't think our fire department and our select board are the problem, okay? Because I mean, I've been on the budget side of that fire department and I know what they're spending, and it's not overly spent. It's pretty tightly run ship. But, so that's my public comment is, you know, I mean, like I said, I'm gonna be in Montpelier tomorrow, State House anyway, and I will stop by this rally, whatever it is. If it gets too raucous, I'll leave, because I'm not that kind of person. But I'm just flabbergasted at what the legislature is doing to us cave dwellers in rural Vermont.
You're talking about 181, not for
181
everything.
and Act 250, no,
Well,
just
that's
181 and
181 is
Act 250. I mean, Senator Clarkson
Mhm.
in 2024 actually said that about rural Vermonters, that they're cave dwellers. She probably didn't put it that way, so pardon my paraphrasing.
Well, that was just a commentary.
I don't care.
I know you took offense to
Oh, I
that.
did, I certainly did.
But the woman was saying exactly the same position that you're taking, that that's not working. Anyways, I
Anyway,
just,
yes,
I-
so yeah, that's my public comment is if this town could actually have an opinion or take a position, that would be really nice.
I actually sent a letter to all our, an email to our legislators, not as a select board, just,
Yeah, I
but
did too.
anyway.
So, Retta, are you suggesting that like the board here have a discussion and that, or open it up to like a community forum type thing?
Yes, and yes, and yes. I know other select boards in the state have done stuff
Really?
on this topic,
Okay,
and I don't know what that would look like. I know that there would be people in town who would oppose or support Act 181. I'm certainly not suggesting to get rid of Act 250 because we kind of do need it to make sure big developers don't run amok. But not me and my land, give me a break. Anyway, that's my public.
It'd be nice if we had a planning commission,
well,
with a couple of planning commission members still, that could participate. He's trying to quit.
all right, thanks, Retta. Is there any other public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the town clerk's report. Robin Durkey.
The school revote will be April 7th, and for Woodbury, it's gonna be at the town hall from 10 until 7. And there's also an informational meeting April 2nd, which will be at the Hardwick Elementary School at 6.
Did you say re-vote?
Yes,
Did it lose last time?
they did.
Wow.
By 12,
I forgot to vote.
oh, hardly, it would have been.
I'll play the way I know.
And Robin, you're still in need of ballot clerks?
Yes.
Okay, I will get back to you.
Okay.
Probably, I think
As of right now, I got one for each slot, and right now I'm using Diana as a floater, because she said she could do the early one or the late one.
it would probably be easier for me to do the late one if I do it.
Okay.
Right.
And Diana brought to Pam and my attention that when the excess overweight permits are going out, it had the wrong time listed on there. We have now got that corrected, and anybody that has already sent a permit in, we're sending them a note with the corrected times on it.
Really?
Yep.
Nobody else ever cared about, or noticed that, but just because keeps coming up in, the permit work I'm doing, so.
And then the other thing I have is the positions that we still need to fill.
You wanna list them?
Road commissioner.
Yep.
I got pound keeper and dangerous building officer, and Kim Silk said that he would do that again.
Good.
Health officer, zoning administrator, tree warden, energy coordinator, Central Vermont Solid Waste, in the Woodbury Fund.
On the energy coordinator, Will Schmidt, expressed interest in it. He wanted to know who he should talk to to get more information. Is there anyone I could direct him to?
Huh. We haven't had an energy coordinator for some time, so it's great if somebody's interested,
Yeah,
but
it's
they might have
it's his
to.
wheelhouse. He's a electrical engineer, deals with power plants and
Oh,
stuff, and he wants
yeah.
to get involved, and so he thought that would be a place to start.
Yeah,
So he
great.
asked if I could find him information on who to talk to about what it entails and what
Yeah,
it
I'll think
involves and
about
that sort of thing. So if you give me anything to point him, and I'll point him that way, but
Okay.
he expressed interest.
So health officer, road
The
commissioner,
LCT might have
Zoning
information about
administrator.
an energy coordinator.
zoning administrator,
Solid waste representative.
solid waste, we haven't had one of those for a while either. Okay,
And are we still having Skip Macazzoni and Wayne Lappin be the IT people?
I hope that they would.
Okay, so then Chris can sign these three, one's for Skip,
Did
Wayne.
they say they were okay with it?
Mhm.
Oh, okay,
and Tom Beards for assistant treasurer.
okay. Well, the assistant treasurer gets appointed by the treasurer, so.
Right, but in the past, we've also had the select board member
Okay. Is
send
that
them
okay with
a
you?
a welcome
Yep,
letter.
Yeah?
Yep, he's gonna be on until, we off board,
Yeah.
so.
Got it.
And before I came to the meeting, I stopped at the post office and picked up the mail. And we have the contract for Washington County Sheriff's Department.
Really?
The hourly rate is going up to $68, and right off the top of my head, I cannot remember what last year's rate was. And the mileage is at 72.5.
Can we hold that off till next meeting?
Yep. Okay.
Try to remember to put it on the agenda.
And that's what I have for tonight. Oh, one more thing. Dog licenses. We only have 39 licensed so far this year. For 2025, we had 164.
Oh,
And if you get your dog's license on or before April 1st, you have a chance to go into a drawing for a free license next year.
Don't forget the picture.
Right, we need a picture.
And Robin, can you remind me if we licensed our dogs and had the rabies certification is still valid, do we still need to resend another rabies certification?
No, we'll have that in office.
Okay, great.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, I'm done now.
All right, thank you. I'd like to welcome Daniel Teneman, and it's Lucas, right?
Yeah,
Lucas
yeah.
Goldfuss, from the Winooski Natural Resource Conservation District. Here to present some concept designs for the Sabin, I'm reading right off the agenda, Sabin Pond Lake Watershed Action Plan.
That's it.
Welcome.
So, thank you very much. So we were here back in December, I think,
Sounds about right?
ish. We were getting to the point where we're prioritizing projects and asked, there were some projects on town property that came up that we asked if we could do some designs for you all, and you said yes. And that does not commit you to doing the projects, it doesn't commit you to anything really. But we have some drafts of those here now, and we're just looking for comments back so we can then do a second iteration and improve those drafts. So this is the first one. This is 14 here. Down below it is like your municipal buildings, old fire department, and old town clerk's office and whatnot. New fire department here with the parking lot. This is a point of confusion in the past. This building is or is not a FEMA buyout. Is the FEMA buyout down here?
well,
They're both FEMA
well,
buyouts.
the fire department, old fire department
Yeah.
building, and that one.
And this one.
Yeah, that one actually, the purchase went through.
It did.
Last week,
Nice.
just last week, so.
Okay.
And then right now we're scheduled in the old fire station next week.
Perfect. Okay.
So we haven't gone into any other action
Got
yet
it.
because we just did the closing on Friday.
Excellent. So I'm glad that that's right here, because that was a point of confusion
Yes.
in a previous meeting. So if that building comes down, whenever it comes down, the idea would be this orange area, we would be a tree planting in both of these orange areas. This is the septic for the new fire department, and we would propose adding, it's called bioretention here, basically like a depression in the ground filled with vegetation to collect water, excess water that maybe comes in off the brook when it's at higher levels, to kind of hold that water back a little bit and let it sink into the ground.
So we're gonna comment on that, because we have a catch basin right there.
Do you?
So V-Trans required all of the water to be caught in that area, and there's a catch basin with a 2-foot pipe that's going to the brook right there, so we wouldn't be able to put
Anything there?
stuff that would block it.
Okay, excellent. It's good for us to know. Thank you so much. So yeah, those are the only kind of two things proposed for this location, were the tree plantings and that bioretention, which either has to get moved or we do something else because you've already.
Yeah, and then as long as we stayed off our septic field, we
Yeah,
can't build anything
precisely.
on
Yeah,
that mound.
precisely. Yep, absolutely. Any other comments? Yes.
Comment? I spent the better part of a year getting rid of the old store.
More than a year.
And I was, what?
It was more than a year.
It was more than a year, I know. And as a result, we have more park area, and I don't wanna see it filled up with streamside vegetation.
Okay.
A few trees maybe, but you know, the thing is, all that water comes down, whatever comes down from the mountain might have some dirt in it or whatever. But as soon as it goes across the road, it has this beautiful wetland here that cleans everything up. So by the time it gets to the Winooski, it's okay. I shouldn't mention, Michael will remember I'm still mad about losing part of my front yard for the Winooski Lake Champlain saving program.
Okay.
But really, yeah.
So you would prefer that this not be planted?
Well, it depends on the planting, not of just a bunch of streamside vegetation that can't be mowed. A few trees, maybe we can take some of those cedars that are gonna have to come
Sure,
down.
these here.
Nice cedar, maybe.
Can I ask, if that stream bank isn't planted, the vegetation though, does it make it more vulnerable to erosion?
Yeah,
Those
effectively,
types of
yeah.
things? Yeah.
Right.
It's all grass.
Yeah, I was just thinking a berm, and then on the other side of the berm is like a dry pond.
Yeah, so we're actually not allowed to build berms. Yeah, since Irene, I think, we've not been allowed
Oh, okay.
to build berms, so
Or
we can't build a
dry
berm. Essentially this
That's-
bioretention is similar idea,
Yeah.
right? So if you wanted potentially something on this side instead of on the,
Because when it's dry, you can still
Yeah.
mow it and use it, right?
it's effectively a depression in the ground that collects water. And you could plant like wildflowers and stuff in it, make it look nice, right? But yeah, we could talk about maybe moving this to the other side as a better option, if that's, we could show you what that might look like.
Which,
This green box
uh-huh,
over here somewhere.
And so that bioretention would be a depression that was,
Yeah, lined with like, permeable sediment so that the water like really percolates in really good
Yeah.
once it gets in
and
there.
that's for rainwater that would otherwise be going into the stream?
Yeah, the idea is to get it into the ground so that the volumes in the stream are less, right? Because the stream can only handle so much before, overflows. The idea is to
No,
get
we've done a lot of work on that stream over the last couple of years. And the culvert that goes under Route 14 is all new and big
Sure.
now, and all the, the banks are rip-wrapped and.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Been here since '76. All the times that river has flooded, the water came from above,
It's true.
not that section of property.
Yep.
So what is the purpose?
The purpose would be to like mitigate the amount of water potentially going across the road. I agree that addressing it higher up on the hill would be great. If we have contacts up there, if people who have property who'd be willing to, right?
But
So
I'm-
that's been the issue, right?
I mean, I know you've done a lot of work and this is your job, so it's nothing personal here, but trees and a few vegetation, it's not gonna prevent that river from flowing Woodbury.
At certain
It's
flood
not
levels, you're
gonna
correct, it will.
do anything.
Yeah,
I think this is not flood mitigation though, this is like,
it's some of both. It's some of
Oh,
both.
okay.
It's water quality and flood
Water
mitigation,
I mean,
yeah.
to me,
It's a
it would be, to me, it would be, whatever we do, beautify it and, but,
Yeah,
we
it-
had a,
presenting this is to prevent flooding.
well, it's not gonna prevent flooding, but it may help reduce flooding in certain instances, right? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that a vegetated swale is gonna solve all of your flooding problems, because it's not, right? And it's certainly at like large, like volumes of water coming down that hill, certainly not, right? But under moderate flood conditions, it might mitigate some of that. If anyone knows, anyone higher up on the hill who has property who would like to, dedicate some of it to some practices that might reduce the amount of water coming down the hill, I'd be happy to get their contact information, we can talk to them, because I agree. Usually
Mostly
stopping
woods.
it kind of at the source is better.
there is a project in the works to fortify one of the banks that has been washing away in the last couple of years. Michael's been working on that one.
on the Capper Road, just as it comes into the village.
But otherwise, mostly woods up there.
Yeah, we did apply for a grant to address there's a large wetland area
Yep,
from Buck Lake down to basically Cabot Road,
Yep.
Carol Ray's property. We were gonna do a whole comprehensive study. The application was pending, and then the federal government pulled the funding on a program for that. But that is some thinking that the town has done to try to have just a study done and things in place to prevent the flooding. Once it starts down the Cabot Road, it doesn't run on Cabot Road, but it runs right along straight beside it. It drops really drastically and really picks up some good headway by the time it hits the village. So
Yeah, so the ideal scenario would be it infiltrating into the ground, prior to it getting to that point. There are some ways we've been experimenting with, we call it strategic woody addition, so dropping trees into streams to try to like get the water come up out of the stream and onto the land and kind of soak in.
Yeah, once it starts dropping down from up at the top of
Yep.
the drive here, there's, it's pretty much channeled in ledge all the way down. And we're trying to figure out ways to maybe retain water up above in
Agreed.
the wetland
Yeah,
areas.
agreed.
But once it starts coming down the hill, there's no place for it to spread out until it gets across Route 14. And then
Right.
you're out here and it has all sorts of room to spread out.
Yeah, and that'll be the next slide that we show.
So as you can see, it took out a house.
No,
Yeah. So is there any way the money spent for this could actually be used up above?
well, if we actually had a project up there that was identified potentially, yeah. There's no money attached to this implementation, there's money attached to us being able to do these designs. We would need to go find an additional grant to actually do the
To
project.
actually put the trees and stuff?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So-
they can only do it with, like, private landowners would have to agree
Have to
to
agree
do
to it,
this.
right, that's
So
the other aspect.
we will own these properties as a town, so that's why these are brought.
Correct.
Just out of curiosity, I think that maybe some folks gut reaction to some of these projects are like aesthetic considerations.
Sure.
Do you have photographs or like a portfolio of projects that have been accomplished so that folks can see what
We
these
can show you
kind of,
examples, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any on me right now, but I can send some,
yes,
yeah.
just so that they can see what this kind of zone might look like in
Yeah.
town
Do
and.
you mind trees for streams,
Yeah, definitely.
projects and stuff, if we can get some photos? Because we do this other places, and so we
Yeah.
definitely have examples.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Before the flood in 2023, a friend and I had done about a 20-foot swath of nice daylilies that I had to dig up and throw over, they're still up on the bank there, they're still not dead. But,
But I would be interested in hearing more about this wetlands project that you've
Uh-huh.
got, and we can, maybe we can find funding for something like that, because I agree that kind of holding the water back before it starts down the hill is the better option. So I'd be definitely interested in learning more about that,
Okay,
if you wanna shoot an email
sure.
or however you wanna get in contact.
Okay, well, maybe we could have just a discussion about it at some point.
Absolutely.
And I
We'd
can
love to.
pull up the old application. Okay.
Any more comments on this one? Okay. So then the second one is exactly what you were talking about. This is now down, so 14's up here, here is the old fire department, and here we are here, here's the school. The idea is the water coming then in from the other side as well as under this Valley Lake Road here. And I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of the screen here, I'm sure. The idea is, can we lower some of these sections of land so that the water can spread out more than it already does, slowing it down, reducing energy, and making it less destructive further down, as well as dropping sediments to improve water quality, as well as add some tree plantings. And then here we've got what we're calling a filter burn. So any runoff coming off of the road would basically get stopped up by this berm and pass through the berm and get filtered before it runs into the stream. So it'd be a little bit better water quality.
and that area that you're just looking at behind the post office has a septic system in there.
There's a septic in here somewhere?
Yeah.
Whereabouts, do you know?
Right behind your building, Robin?
Right behind the building?
I don't know. I never saw it.
I would,
There was a number,
You don't know quite where it is?
Someone did.
a few years ago, there was another, I can't remember the name of the project, but they were gonna put in like a wetland kind of catch basin.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of water that tends to flow between the post office and the old fire station, which will no longer be there, and then
No.
it goes into the
Oh,
Kingsbury.
here.
Yeah, so you gotta address the buildings too, because they got the wrong building, has to be removed.
So yeah, so this was a question. This building is or is not? This is staying.
Yeah,
Okay, this is
the
your
other one.
garage.
It's that.
This
Green-
one.
next
No,
one.
next to that.
This one right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
green roof. yeah.
So the old fire department's coming out, but the garage is staying.
That one's staying.
Perfect.
So the septic system is kind of roughly right about here.
Okay, so it's right in that upper.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah, the artesian well is back by that stream too.
Yeah, well,
The well's back there?
Yeah. It's back by the footbridge.
Okay, okay.
Did I see a note about the footbridge?
There is a note here on the consider removal of the bridge. This, if we're talking about this bridge, then yes.
Make a hole in the-
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
there's
that's-
one,
there's
there's one
another
behind the
one.
post
Make a hole
office.
in that
No,
building.
the other one's over here.
It's over here.
This bridge is part of a snowmobile trail.
Okay, so that's probably gonna stay then.
It's closer behind that.
Closer behind that.
The footbridge helps
That-
folks get,
Gray colored rectangle right there, what is that?
This, so this.
No, go over towards Petermore,
this-
that one.
That's your ice rink.
That's
one
right.
time.
Okay, so the footbridge goes on an angle to that,
Oh, so right here.
Right there.
Yes.
So this one also says consider removal, but it's just, if you don't wanna remove it, you don't have to remove it, right? So,
They just rebuilt it.
yeah, they just,
brand
last
new.
summer, we just rebuilt it.
so yeah, this is mostly like lowering land, so it's more easily accessible from the stream, as well as planting trees. There is another kind of spreader for runoff from the school parking lot to kind of spread it out instead of it channelizing as it goes down the hill. But again, mostly we call it floodplain reconnection, right? So making the stream be more easily able to access its floodplain so it spreads out sooner and it reduces the energy and gets more sediment onto the ground as opposed to keeping that sediment in the water where it makes its way into the lake.
it does have plenty of room to spread out once it gets past these buildings.
Yeah.
All kinds of room.
The yellow area on the right-hand side,
So that's, you wouldn't lower the ground, it's just tree plantings, basically.
isn't there trees there
There are all
already?
But it says enhanced, so there's already trees there, but it would be adding additional trees. So we typically look at a density of about 300 stems per acre as being sufficient to actually improve water quality. So if it's more sparse than that, you would wanna add trees
There's
until
a
you
lot of
got
alder in there.
to about 300 stems an acre. Which is about a tree every 10 feet-ish. It's like a 10-foot grid, more or less.
Now, is it a variety of trees, or is it all the same kind?
Could be a variety. There are any trees that like are happy living near water. This
Okay.
we tend to put
Try
in.
and stay away from monoculture, so like dogwoods, willows, alders, if that's what it takes, depending on the
Yeah.
soil.
Yeah,
Usually
There's
a mix
all
of like
kinds
8 to 10
alders.
species.
Yeah.
Alders, I imagine. Maples and oaks tend to be pretty good too, though they're hard to plant because the deer eat them. But if you can get them to grow and not get destroyed by the deer, then they're happy there too.
So the ownership of all the land on the west of the stream,
The
Yeah.
west of the stream.
that's not town land, right?
That's not town land.
Okay,
This is not town land?
right,
It's
Who
the
owns-
women's fire auxiliary that owns this
Right.
stuff.
The Women's Fire Auxiliary, okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good to know. And this is town land?
No,
No, this is not town land either. Who owns that?
the
Same.
women's
Also the
auxiliary.
Women's Auxiliary?
Can you just like draw a polygon with your hand so I can?
The whole thing apparently is
Okay, this whole-
Women's Fire, okay.
Once the old fire department is gone, the town will own that.
Well, the
We'll
land-
own this, oh, they'll own this piece of
Yeah,
land here.
right.
okay.
Yeah, the town already owns the land, it
That's
just doesn't
right,
own the
okay.
building.
We'll just be able to.
And the town doesn't own the garage, it's there.
Yeah,
I mean,
building
the-
that
the-
I like
the
what the fire
auxiliary doesn't
department
own
owns.
that building, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
who owns that? Did you figure that out? Fire department.
Do we have a
Yeah.
contact for this, for the Women's Fire Auxiliary that we can
She's
get?
right there.
Yeah.
And the contact fire department.
The part of that building that the food shelf is in, that's the auxiliaries also.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Oh, okay.
Other comments?
There was, in the upper right-hand corner is Brian's shop, old shop,
Up here?
Yeah.
right there. And there's been some water intrusion there and issues with powder post beetles and the like in the structure,
Okay.
which can be easily taken care of, but there's been some talk about some grading to keep the water from coming in as much.
Okay.
And then a bit further to the right, there's a new place that was put in this year.
Okay.
And we did I think it was a 2-foot lift
Okay.
to deal with any flooding.
Yeah.
But it was just where the structure is.
Sure.
That's not the next one, but the one after, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because the one next
Right.
is the little blue house right there on the road. It's the one after that, the mobile home down the
Yep.
middle of it.
Right.
That's
Yep.
okay.
So how come there's no plans for something on the other side of the stream? Is that just because you thought this was town land and?
Well, yeah,
Others.
we thought that this was owned by the town. I think
Okay.
it's listed as such in some directory, that's why we thought that. And last time we were here, it wasn't brought up that it's not, that it's not owned by the town, so.
The parcel viewer definitely indicates.
Yeah,
that's
the
town
parcel
land,
viewer,
yes.
which is
State
yeah,
resource.
says that it's owned by the town of
It
Washington.
says it's
or
owned by
Woodbury.
Woodbury Fire Department Auxiliary.
Does that what it
Yeah,
says?
'cause
So
that's-
maybe that was in it.
That's actually what I'm looking at on my phone.
So maybe that was assumed, we assumed that that meant the fire department.
Yeah, that's
It's part of the town. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, so these we all recognize as private parcels, which is why we didn't, and we're not able to get in touch with the
Okay.
people here, right, so didn't plan anything there. But this we thought was town owned.
So the actual part that's actually town owned is not that big right here.
I don't think there's very much here that's owned by the town at all. I mean, this is owned by the town, right, with where the school is?
Yeah, this is.
And this up here will be owned by the town.
The
T-shaped
T-shaped
lot-
lot, the T-shaped lot is owned by the
Yeah.
town, the land itself, and the building will be, but yeah, that includes the old fire station, the
Yeah.
town hall.
This is owned by the town or
No.
not?
No, fire department.
That's fire department, okay.
Mostly.
So yeah, the town's very, well, this is a pretty big parcel, but down in there, pretty much nothing.
If you wanted to give me your contact information, I could give it to the individual who owns the building in the upper right.
Okay.
And what was your email?
John.gordon@woodburyvt.org. That's how you know, right?
I think so.
First name dot last name.
Sounds right.
Look at it.
Okay. Next.
This is it, these are the only two that were on
Oh.
town property, and
Oh.
only one of them's on town property,
Alright.
so.
woodburyvt.org.
The other two are private parcels.
Are there any on Woodbury Lake that these people are interested in?
There's a whole bunch of us here.
So I guess one concern is, of course, we don't want the sediment going into any lake,
Yeah,
really.
sure.
So, the filtering of the trees and that has been proven to be really effective, right? I mean,
Correct, yeah.
so as it filters, through there.
We've had terrible with the flooding, the last
Correct,
three July 10ths.
Yep.
Terrible flooding by Amy's, by Paula's. They had an awful time, and it's still a big sand thing that we,
Yep,
and I have no idea what we're gonna do with,
yeah.
across, on Route 14, where that other little stream came down. It almost took out 2 or 3 camps right there.
Yep,
And-
we've talked to those landowners.
Yeah.
Mostly, they weren't really interested in kind of moving forward with some of the suggestions we made, and so that's why we haven't done designs for them.
Is there
So-
something we can do, Amy, that have these guys come in and talk at a meeting or something with the Woodbury Lake Association, or is that something that we don't know?
I don't know, I'm here to get information.
Yeah, that's what it's all about
To
too, because
to
it's,
see if that's something
I guess-
that the members would like.
right,
The road crew did do major work on Wilbur Road last summer, which
Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
will relieve some of what happened
yeah.
from
That was, we've lost our private road twice now,
Mhm.
and that came at the cost, not Wilbur Road cost, but our cost to have, because it's a private road, we all pay
Mhm.
Yeah,
maintenance on Herrick's Cove. It's not
Yeah, we
taken
know,
care of
yeah.
by the town at all.
so we were just up there, the 2 gullies that are a product of the runoff from Wilbur Road are on our list of
Okay.
projects, and those landowners are interested in willing.
Okay.
We just have to wait till the snow goes away to go up there and have a look.
You think so?
Um,
We tried to get into our camp, I'm joking with you, we can't get into our camp.
So that is, those are on the list, and those
Okay.
landowners are interested in doing something about those gullies. So know
Okay.
that we don't have the designs for them because we haven't been up there yet and been able to see what we need to see, but we will have designs for those, and those landowners wait to see it.
All right,
And
and
So they are a priority.
By the boat
project.
launch, there's a
Yeah.
house
Yes.
right there.
Yeah.
Have you talked to them?
Yes.
Too, because they literally were out of their house for a year.
This is the house to the east of the Fish and Wildlife Access, correct?
Yes, to the right,
Yeah.
to the right.
Yeah, right at the mouth of the river. Yeah.
Right at the mouth
Oh,
of the river.
Yeah.
well, there's two,
There's two, yes, there's
Oh,
one on
yeah,
either
that's
side of
right,
the
there's
river,
one
and
that's-
their bridge has pretty much gotten blown out.
And on top of that, they've got this great big sand
Bar,
thing
yeah.
now, where if,
Yeah.
you know,
Trying
we
to
have
bridge.
another flood, they're gonna be underwater.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that there probably never should have been a house that was constructed there in the first place. It's in like the most active hydrogeomorphic zone on the whole lake, and it's
It's
just,
there.
and with the
Yeah.
excessive shoreline development, that has just been like detrimental to the lake,
Just
you
wonder
know?
if there's something that we,
Yeah.
again, maybe working from here down, it will help again, but.
Yeah, the hard part is, again, they weren't really open to some of the things we had suggested.
Right, like we had done an assessment and a technical report for them, and it was, yeah, I tried to recommend, you know, certain, you know, shoreline, you know, best management practices and stuff,
Okay.
but all we can really do is
No,
kind of
I'm
leave
glad
them with that, yeah.
I guess I was interested if they
Yeah.
knew about this and.
No.
Yes, no, I
Yeah.
did a full report for them, yeah,
All right,
assessment.
well, thank you.
In your report, can they hydro excavate that bar that's formed? It's in the lake.
You would need a
They-
permit,
yeah, they tend-
quite a few permits.
They tend to not really want excavation of sediments, the state, because the sediments will just get filled back in. It's like from the state's perspective, a temporary solution.
It looked like a velocity issue where it slows down and drops. But
Well,
if
this
you
water's
keep
certainly
moving-
gonna slow down as it enters the lake, right? Like you're always, so that's always gonna be true. They just, as a general rule, the states are reluctant to give permits for dredging because they see it as only like a Band-Aid, basically. It's not addressing the actual problem.
But it wasn't a problem in the past when the bar wasn't there.
It wasn't.
Right, but if you had another storm, they would say that bar would just reform. I don't write the permits, I'm just, if we were to go to them and ask for a permit, that's what they would tell us, and they would probably deny the permit. That's just the way it goes. They don't really give permits for dredging. In emergency circumstances, they might, but typically they don't.
Is that considered dredging though, when it's hydro, done with a blaster?
Oh, to just like push it further into the lake?
Push
you
it
mean?
out, yeah.
I could ask them, but I think they'd probably tell me the same thing. Yeah.
Because it's built over by Mary Ellen's too, where the other stream comes down.
Yeah.
I mean, it was never there before. and
Yeah,
now
yeah.
You go in your boat, you're way out
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
steep now.
Yeah.
It's just filled in like down Mary Ellen's house. anyways.
Yeah.
So-
But you did, I think I did see a plan, that you had some proposals for the boat launch area?
The state boat launch, yeah, that's the first one.
Okay.
It's not not a ton of work, it's not a very large parcel, to be
No.
perfectly frank. And they didn't want to sacrifice any of their parking, but they were open to, again, like a filter berm.
Mhm.
So it would retain some of the water coming off the road, and it would have to soak through the berm and get filtered a little bit before it ended up in the lake, and then some plantings by the shore. Pretty simple, it's really all you can do with the parcel as it is, but they were open to that, again, provided that it didn't reduce the amount of parking available. So yeah, they were amenable.
Would the state pay for that?
It would depend on where we got the money from. So if we got the money from the state, then yeah, the state would pay for it.
Yeah.
If we got the money from the federal government, then the federal government would pay for it. It depends on where we found the money.
And who would decide on that? Like if we said, yes, we'd like that to happen.
This is Fish and Wildlife has to say
Okay,
yes.
Fish and
Vermont Fish and Wildlife, because they're the ones who own it.
Mike Wichrowski is the contact we have for this site.
So, and but again, he's open to it. He just
Yeah.
wants to make sure that it remains functional as an access point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're on, maybe we can shoot you some other people we haven't been able to get in touch with and some other properties we haven't been able to reach because we've tried to reach some people and some of them are just away, right, because it's not lake season, right?
Well,
But
there's only like Amy on the lake right now.
yeah.
Not the only one.
I'm just teasing, yeah. No, there's like just a handful of people on the
Yeah.
lake right now.
That's been the hardest part, is trying to get in touch with people about potential projects.
Yeah, I know that people are nervous about the state coming in
That's
and
correct,
saying,
and
what can we do to help you?
Yes,
If
yes.
it's free, well, nothing is free.
In this,
So.
in this case it is.
It's scary when you hear
I
that.
agree.
So,
And I
don't
just,
wanna be told what to do.
no, just remind them that everything is voluntary. So everything about this process is voluntary. We will not force anyone to do anything. The conservation districts are non-reporting, so if we come onto your property and we see something that's a violation, we do not report it to anybody. We may tell you if
Yeah,
someone
that-
came onto your property and they will give you a fine for this, but we will not report it to anybody. That's part of like who we are as conservation districts. We're just here to help you conserve your land the best you can, and are willing to. So, and if there is a project that people are willing to do, we try to help people find money to do it. We can't guarantee that we'll be able to find money, but we try. And so that's what we're here for. We do work with the state. The state's giving us money to do this work, but like I said, we're non-reporting. We won't tell anyone how to use their land. We certainly have ideas about how they might best use their land, but everything is voluntary. So just emphasize that point. If people still don't want to talk to us, totally understand it. I get it, totally get it. But it is voluntary, non-regulatory, and we are here to just try to help you.
I'd be willing to take any information and pass it along. We do have a spring meeting
Okay.
of June, and, you know, I can present it to them.
Yeah, and we've got like a spiel that we did last summer to the town, also to Callis, and we'd be happy to come and give our quick spiel about what it is that we're doing and who we are, and would love to hear from people.
Do you have another card for Amy?
I have many cards. So, and if it's just materials you want, we can rustle those up and give them to you as well.
Sure.
Could I get one of those cards, please?
Absolutely. And we'd love to hear about whether the auxiliary is interested in some of those.
You know, take it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it in?
My name is Louise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is,
WLA.
what is flood elevation on
Sorry, one more time.
Woodbury or Savin Pond now?
Yeah. I don't know what the current designation
I
is.
don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
The only thing I've heard is 4 feet above mean. What does
Okay,
mean?
thank you.
Is it the top of the bank, is it the bottom, is it today's level?
President of Woodbury
Yeah.
Association.
Yeah, that offhand, I don't know what that number is. Sorry.
And we've never gone above that until the past 2,
To flood stage?
above flood. Yeah, never, until the past 2 floods.
Over our docks,
Over your docks.
over our docks.
Yeah.
It was, what, 5.5 feet?
5.5,
High than
yeah,
that, yeah, it was
Yeah.
down.
which was more than the one before.
Right.
Daniel, can I ask a question about the town proposals?
Yes.
Um,
Either of them or both.
Okay.
Collectively.
Going back to those, specifically the other one, is that something that you would take back and reimagine, or is there just not enough town-owned property on this one?
Well, if the auxiliary is interested, we'd be happy to do it for the auxiliary. It doesn't have to be, I'm presenting to the town because we thought this was town
Yeah, sure,
property.
of course, yeah.
But we can present it to you as the private landowners, and then you would be the ones to decide whether you wanted to go forward with this or some modified version of the same thing, right? So yes, we're interested in still pursuing this, provided that you're interested in pursuing it, right? Yeah.
There is a part of that, you know, where the old fire station is, but won't be sometime in the future, there is kind of a swale there that water
Yeah.
coming off Route 14 tends to run right down through there. And then you can see where it's cut right into the bank before it goes into the Kingsbury branch. And earlier, there was an entity that was kind of envisioning some kind of catch basin
Okay.
there, just to keep the sediment from running into the
Sure.
Kingsbury branch. That would be a very simple fix there. It's hard, you could probably see it, you would see it better when the snow is gone, of course, because there's a big snowbank.
You're saying between which two buildings here?
The post office and the old fire station?
So here?
Yep,
Right there.
right
Okay.
there.
Okay, so we had proposed this filter berm, but a catch basin. You're saying though there's a septic in here somewhere?
There is a septic in there, but, yeah, it's more over,
I think
kind
it's
of
closer,
behind
to-
the
I think
post
it's closer
office.
towards the fire station, isn't it?
It's closer.
The-
So it's on this side over here, you think?
The septic?
No,
No,
the
it's
channel that you're.
Oh, the
talking
channel.
Yeah, the
Okay.
channel is
Channel's on
right-
this side, but the
it's
septic's
right-
over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
channel is pretty tight to the old
So
fire
maybe,
station.
Infiltration, yeah,
Yeah.
right, or catch basin in the section behind the fire station, but no, there's also.
You can
some-
see, if you go to the parking lot, you'll see the
You'll
little
see it.
spot, it just
Yeah.
continues out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
In fact, I think there's water that's kind of run through the snowbank there at this point.
We're using a filter
From the
snow
melting.
bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, behind here, behind the old fire station.
John, do you
Just
think
to-
those buildings will be gone next summer, this summer?
I hope so.
Well, it probably doesn't happen this summer, right? It could happen 2 summers, 3 summers from now, right?
Yeah.
Like, the
Well,
district's not gonna cease
yeah.
existing, right? So,
One of the things, just given we are working on removing that building and we have to turn it into green space. So I would think that that would be, like, imagine that being gone, what would we need to do with the land there to fulfill that purpose? Because we know the water's gonna come across the road.
correct.
And that's just, at some point, the water's gonna come across the road. We have to turn that where the building currently is in the green space anyway. So if there's something that could be done, or how to inform that process, of how and what that green space is, then that would be
Okay.
probably a good thing to
So
consider.
what's to put in place in the fire department?
Yeah, basically what to do on that footprint.
I mean,
Mm.
like if you replace that footprint with like a bioretention, again, one of these depressions, maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, so if you could provide some insight
Yeah.
there, given that we're already on the project to get that out of there.
Yep,
Coming back when there's snow is gone would be a good way to
yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
idea.
Gosh, gosh,
But it feels like it there.
I know, I
80 degrees.
We had actually, we had a field visit planned for those gullies on Herrick's Cove tomorrow, but we will not be coming tomorrow.
It's snowing right now.
Yeah.
I'm ignoring it.
Well, thanks.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Thank you.
the comments. Please get in touch with us. The more comments, the better, and we can make the plans better, and, yeah.
Great. Let us know if you have more questions to be clarified. Probably there's like an opportunity to talk to somebody besides me about that.
We haven't committed to anything, right?
Correct, you're not committed to anything really
You don't have
until
the
we
money
start
yet
digging,
anyway.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we agree to these, we'd have to come up with a final set of plans that everyone agreed on, who will own the land, right? And then we'd have to find money to do the project, and then only at that point would you really be finally committed to kind of doing it, you know?
I think we did sign something, didn't we?
I don't think with these folks,
No,
Maybe not,
we did
no,
with
okay.
it.
This is something.
with Brian Boyd.
Yeah.
Well,
Brian,
okay.
with CVRPC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I can encourage folks to go on our website and just look at our mission and what the purpose of the conservation districts are. But I think that would put this project maybe into a bit more perspective as well. You know, about how we're non-regulatory and, you know, our goal is to essentially promote the wise use of natural resource management, you know.
can you convince people not to mow up to the edge of the lake?
I've been trying to, but I can't do it for them. They have to be the ones to decide. That's right. That was my most of the summer. Yeah.
We do it. Oh, no, ours.
The fact sheets and history are there about excessive shoreline development. So, appreciate it. I just
Yeah,
read
thanks.
it.
And I do think like photographs of other projects would go a long
Yeah,
way.
we gotta
So
do
that
it.
people kind of like, oh, it's not it's not a forest, or it's not,
Yeah, we talked about that.
Dan, could you go on your cards and send that to the project?
Feel free to put my contact information in the minutes, be happy to hear from anybody.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Drive safely.
Yeah. All right, yes.
Oh, you're leaving?
Yeah, we're leaving.
Oh,
If I don't, go back to Randolph, we'll see what's
Drive safely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for the comments.
Amy's a good contact.
Well, she's had a hard time getting in touch with me.
Sorry, I make you move.
Can't wait till we release it.
Yeah, we understand how it's coming from.
Exactly.
Like, no,
That's why I can't.
not offended anyway, but yeah. Yeah, you can put me in.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All
Thank you
right,
for coming.
we'll get
Yeah. Paul, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move on to the-
Yeah, we tried it on phone.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
Thanks for coming.
Bob, we'll see you later.
You have the
This isn't our lawyer.
designs right here.
All right.
Okay. Good, yeah.
Stream and then when it goes.
Yeah, about the fire retention cell.
Yeah, that water has to go, there's a lot of water.
Yeah, right. You've got my email too, so we can just keep that for
I'll send you
now.
this rule.
It's filled.
For sure.
I just want to wait that to
The
be.
beavers have.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That field.
Thank you. Thank you very much, yeah.
Take care.
Nice to see you again.
It should be taken out.
All right, well, we bumped you guys up, so we can get you out of here. But let's move on to the road commissioner's report, and welcome Alfie and Peter. Floor is yours, whatever you want to talk about.
I'll let Peter start.
All right.
Maybe I can fill in. Finally got our salt today, so we don't have to keep sanding the blacktop.
More salt, yay.
It'll just distinctly more effective than when
Yeah.
you were sanding it. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't been able to salt it for the past almost a month. Because we haven't had it, but we finally got a load today, so.
And you're still having to move it from, the truck's still down, right? The 550 salt truck?
Yeah, we're still gonna move it from, we gotta use one truck to do it, which you gotta dump off from the sand and just switch to the salt.
Yep.
A little more time consuming, but
The truck you referenced is gone to the shop.
It is, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We dropped it off today, so they said they could fit it in this week.
To the dealer?
Yes, the Ford dealer, McGee Ford in Montpelier. I can add a little bit.
I was gonna say, there's not a whole lot to talk about this
Yeah.
week. A
So,
lot hasn't
as
changed.
far as the raccoon issue,
Yeah.
we are at the point where we need to get an estimate. The adjuster is also working on his estimate, and I think the insurance company is gonna compare the two and decide what they're gonna.
Did they give you a scope of work?
Yeah.
That's, I think that's what's coming from the adjuster, that's gonna be his report and estimate all together. He's saying that it would be best to take it apart from take the ceiling down, which to me doesn't make a lick of sense, because it's all the power, it's
Just
the water
some
lines.
mood music.
Yeah, it's so much.
Free vibes.
Actually, all this sounds really nice.
So that's what the adjuster said that's normally how they would do it, is take the ceiling down.
Yeah.
But
Whole ceiling?
it has to be, everything, yes, the whole ceiling, everything has to go in
Yeah.
order to get insulation back up
Yeah.
there.
But with the roof being bad,
Right,
Yeah.
with the roof needing repair also, that's why I don't think it's a good idea to take the ceiling down. Because it'd be so much easier to pull the roof off, put your insulation, strapping, new roof.
and the.
There are some places where we're gonna have to repair the sheetrock, some of the parts of the ceiling, but we can't, we can't not do that.
What do you mean what do you mean? You take the ceiling down, that would be all the sheetrock, right?
I'm saying, it was two options. One is take the roof off,
Oh.
put the insulation back,
Mm-hmm.
but there's still some spots of the ceiling that
To be
has to be
fixed,
replaced,
yeah.
regardless of what we do, which way we do it.
I mean, if they take the ceiling down, they're gonna have to undo the whole fire alarm system in there too.
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, all the overhead doors are all attached to the ceiling, they're gonna have to come down. We've got ceiling fans in there, we've got.
So he didn't address the roof at all? He just thought this was like, the claim would be specifically for replacing the ceiling and the insulation?
Correct.
Yep.
But the thing that involves the roof is the ice buildup.
Yeah,
Because of the insulation being violated, it built up a ton of ice
got it.
and allowed water to come and run down the back wall in the office.
Yeah.
So we've got water damage inside also. I think that the roof is probably not gonna be covered unless we can convince them to do the insulation from the roof down. then obviously you're not gonna put a whole rusty roof back on. It's gonna depend on his report. We can't really
Yeah, sure.
assume anything until we get his report, because that's what the insurance company is gonna go off on.
And then does it make sense, because we're gonna have to try to compare apples to apples, right? In terms of an estimate, to wait to get his report so we have a scope? Or were they suggesting to get an estimate for this work before his report?
The email sounded like they wanted us to get an estimate. I guess it didn't really.
You know what I mean, like,
It
is
wasn't
it,
clear as to whether they wanted our estimate before his,
Yeah,
or it
yeah.
wasn't clear.
So you didn't know,
But
they were
I think-
asking for you to get an estimate on their proposal, and they haven't really made a proposal? Or have they?
I think they want us to give an estimate for what we think we wanna do.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
It's what it said, is that anywhere, you read the email,
That's what it seems like to me,
Yeah.
yeah.
so. We can, I would think we would estimate it the way we wanna do it, which is take the roof off
Yeah.
and replace the insulation and put a new roof on.
Mhm.
And then let them kind of balk on the roof, well, we don't wanna replace your roof, that's not part of the, you know what I mean, who knows? So I think it's gonna be kind of a back and forth before this is all done.
And yet,
Will their estimate include, numbers, money?
Yes, it's got, the adjuster is gonna give us a dollar figure estimate,
Yeah.
as well as scope of work, it'll be all spelled out, I believe.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's all right.
So, I mean, there's a chance that the insurance doesn't pay for the roof, and we may have to eat that, just because it's, you know, the nature of the claim. But we gotta see the adjuster's report before we can decide that, I mean.
But if those little creatures weren't in there packing down your insulation, your roof wouldn't be leaking, right?
Theoretically.
Theoretically, right, because the ice, how I am labeling the roof
Right.
as part of this, is because if the insulation was fine, we wouldn't have had ice build up, we wouldn't have had water coming in.
Right.
So that's how I'm kind of, you know, labeling the roof to this whole problem, because the ice built up.
So how do we get it?
But it's gonna be their call, it's gonna be the insurance adjuster's call, whether they, you know, pay for the roof as well.
Because they might be only paying for just so much of it, and if we went a certain way with the roof, we'd have to pay for the rest.
And where would you get an estimate?
Some contractor,
Yeah,
maybe Lizzie Higgins.
huh? Yeah,
We could get a couple people do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big job, so somebody's gonna have to,
I mean, have a couple different estimates.
a couple different estimates, yeah, right.
All right.
So that's sort of where we are, we're kind of waiting. I think it would be wise to wait and get his report first, so that we are indeed comparing apples to apples. And to know what they're willing to pay for, and then we can do ours. I think we could start the process and get some contractors' head around it, to start thinking about what needs to be done, and what, you know, some of the numbers.
I should know this, but are all those, the overhead lights, are they running conduit on the inside of the sheetrock?
Yes.
They don't go up and over the,
No, they're on the bottom of the sheet rock.
so there's a lot of electrical work to do.
Yes. Oh, it's a lot.
Yep.
I mean, there's a water line that runs up there, that gets to the other side of the garage, there's ceiling fans, there's all the garage doors, there's
Whole fire alarm system.
fire alarm system, which was put in not too many years ago. It would be a lot to take everything down from the inside. Plus, we don't have a facility to use at that point.
Right.
We don't have a garage with lights, we don't have, you know, so that's why I'm recommending take the roof off and fix the problem from the top. Because then the shop can still be used, they're only gonna take sections of the roof off, what they can cover back in a day or whatnot. And then we can still continue to use our facility. But I'm not the decider, it's ultimately, it's the insurance.
You must have put that piece of plywood back on, right? Already?
We actually exposed a bunch of different spots.
Yep.
Throughout the whole ceiling, so that the adjuster could get up there and see.
And they have not been covered back up yet.
They're not, they haven't been covered up. Which should be, because we are losing heat.
Is there a possibility that there could be some new lighting paid for by Efficiency Vermont possibly?
Well, Efficiency Vermont's a whole nother grant, a whole nother stream of money.
Yeah.
So, indeed, I'm sure that they would honor, I mean, if they took a look at that building, they're gonna say, yeah, there's some work here. Because it's not efficient at one iota. I mean, it's just not, it's leaking.
Right, that's why it's not worth throwing a lot of money into little things, but
There was a time, a number of years ago, when I was on the select board, that we did look into replacing the lights with LED lights. And, you know, those figures are long gone from my memory. But that was something that they looked into.
I mean, maybe we could group it all together. You know, the insurance can pay, our budget may pay a little bit. If the Efficiency Vermont can pay for some, maybe we could, you know, turn this into a group effort to get it, facility taken care of.
I think Efficiency Vermont would want an R60 roof.
well, you know, that's why I mentioned lighting, because they'll throw money at lighting and not.
Which, you know, also it may turn into something bigger. So say they want R60, do we have enough space for R60?
There's your roof for it.
Just in those rafters? We may have to add to those rafters to have that much.
Are those rafters or trusses?
They're rafters. So literally, they're 2 by 12s probably, so that's 11 and a half inches. That's all you got for.
And Chris, you had mentioned a venting system, if we were to replace the roof, or, that makes a lot of sense.
From the above.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll try to get over there and stick my head up there in a couple different places.
Yeah, we've got a
Easier, to get a ladder.
ladder, so it's, you know, fiberglass step ladder, and you can get right up there.
Okay.
We'll share the habitat with them.
I mean, there might have to be, sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Back when they redid the annex building down here, Peter Peltz was able to get the tech center out of Morrisville up to help with that. Is that anything that could be a possibility, like if it were the roof?
They got the roof off.
Well, I mean, I think that would have to be incorporated into the contractor, whoever we decide for the contractor, right? Because there's liability, there's workers' comp, there's all these things that would have to be coupled together with the contractor. I think, I mean, that's a great idea, because it would be cheap labor.
Yeah.
And kids would learn stuff, and that would be win-win.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot that goes along with that, especially because we're gonna be hiring a contractor to do it.
And probably back then, Peter was the contractor.
Right.
Sure, right, so he
Just
carried the
organized.
insurance, and he had all the Ts crossed.
Yep. Just an idea.
Yeah, so I think we have to wait, you know, we can continue to work on it, but I think we really need that report from the adjuster.
Yeah.
To know what he's thinking, what he's covered. But he was very thorough, I mean, he was there for the better part of an hour.
Yeah, it was at least 45 minutes.
Yeah, measuring and taking pictures and, you know, asking questions, and he was very thorough.
But the efficiency of Vermont should look at the overhead doors too. I mean, there's a 1-inch gap all the way around every one of them 1-inch doors.
So, I mean, it's, the raccoons has opened up a can of worms,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, raccoons.
Are they local raccoons?
They are local, they're still around, actually.
I mean, I
You
think,
didn't rehome them?
Yeah, you have
No, we never saw them again after they fell out of the ceiling.
Didn't pay any rent.
They got kind of scared of the house.
You can't make this stuff up.
No,
You can't.
the raccoon actually fell through the ceiling.
That's real, yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of them went back up there.
You think?
I heard the raccoon started pretty good.
Have you been sticking your head up there to see if they're still up there?
When we first opened those other holes up for the insurance adjuster to go in and look,
are they in making their way through the whole roof?
they're in more of it than they're not.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I mean, one of the bays we opened up, you can see it was sprayed in foam insulation.
Huh.
And they've got it chewed, they're chewing it. So it's all like this flaky popcorn looking stuff.
I wonder if that's why he, no, I guess you get the same information. So it's all spray foamed up against the roof deck now?
Not all of it.
It's not all?
I think it's just the lower end where they did some work at some
Okay.
point.
Yeah.
Most of it is the pink fiberglass.
Pink fiberglass, and it's just matted down from
Yeah,
that
sure.
traveling up and down it and,
Yeah.
making home out of it.
I mean, I think that, we'll have to figure this out, because I think that there's a lot more work that needs to be done at the garage that has been deferred maintenance for a long time. And so whether this is part of a bigger endeavor, bigger scope, and we figure out a temporary fix, and then that's just a suggestion, rather than do a really nice job only to have to tear it out later because there's a bigger picture to the project.
Right, well, yeah, like I said, if we go with Efficiency Vermont and they require R60.
Well, they don't require it. I mean,
Well, if they're gonna spend money, they're gonna
if you're good at,
wanna.
they'll do what they can.
I think the R60 might be a residential code, and I think commercial and municipal structures have a different requirement.
If you make it too nice, those raccoons might invite their relatives in.
But if they use blown-in cellulose, the rats love that.
Yes. Right. Well, I mean, I think we all have a lot to learn here.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, as I said, the raccoons have opened a can of worms, and I think it's time that we're really gonna have to, do this correctly. I mean, I don't wanna see us put a bunch of money into it and then it still is not warm, it's still not, the roof's still leaking, it's still whatever, all these problems that are still, just to get, a claim covered. And we still have a building that's not correct.
I mean, there's awful lot wrong that's falling apart on that building. I mean, if we were to do the roof and everything like you're saying, then it'll just be a patch for a while, and then who knows how long the rest of it's gonna stay together.
So the idea of a new garage is still,
How old is
Amen.
this garage?
That'd be great.
Guesstimate, about, how old is this garage?
older
I'm
than,
gonna say 70s it was built.
70s?
And you old timers remember that? Especially the one in the back.
Chuck might know. Well, Chuck might know.
Yeah,
I'll check with him.
Yeah.
Where was the town garage before,
50 years.
where it is now?
It's always been there since I've been here.
Used to be out on the corner.
It was on the corner, right?
On the corner?
But
That house, that brown house on the corner. That was the road commissioner and the road grader used to park right beside that house.
think they had a
That was
garage.
the whole deal right there.
Yeah.
Go from the town garage, go down the hill, the corner right there.
okay,
The
so
old brown house that's there.
Oh, it's where
Yeah.
Kings used to live.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
Burger
Burger
King.
King, yeah, Burger
That
King.
was the road commissioner, the state road grader sat right here. So we're in the Northeast Kingdom. It was, I drove by a guy's house and he's a private contractor. The town just hires him to do all that work. Here, I guess it used to be like that.
Yeah.
You're not old, somewhere in Victory or someplace I was.
Yeah.
It's like Fred Jones and it's like town garage.
I mean, because really, if we wanted to get into it, you could point out an awful lot of things that are wrong with that garage. that are big
Yeah, I mean,
enough.
I think when we really get looking at this, we could be seriously thinking about a new building. I mean, the door that you walk in, when you slam it, the whole wall does this. I mean, it's a 2x4 wall, and right there, there's not enough insulation. Not to mention the fact that it's like, when the wind's blowing, that whole wall is shaking back and forth.
I mean,
That's to me, that's structural, and that's, could be serious down the road if we continue to ignore.
And don't you have a oil tank right outside of that wall?
There is a septic tank outside of that wall.
No, but there isn't some kind of a tank up against that wall?
Yeah.
Oh, inside, yeah.
Oh, it's inside? I was thinking it was
Yeah,
outside.
that's,
We have jet fluid on the
DEF
inside,
fluid.
and we have the diesel tank outside.
Right.
So it's 4 walls and some expensive doors. I mean, it's kind of simple, you could just rebuild it in place, but that'd be kind of silly if you really need something bigger. We should look at a more longer term.
Well, you need a bigger yard to turn around it, because it's hard working on a postage stamp.
Yeah,
It is tight. I mean, I think, I said it since I've been here, we should look into buying land one side or the other so that we can start filling in just for more parking space, more material storage. I mean, literally, we've got, 50 feet maybe from the building to our stockpile? And I'm sorry, these 10-wheelers are 30 feet long.
Yeah.
So you don't have much room for jigging in and trying to get straight into the building.
Because we can't put up that big of a stockpile for mud season because we run out of room to turn the trucks around.
So again, we don't want to turn this into a mountain here.
This is a longer conversation for
Yeah.
sure.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what a 40 by 80 steel building would cost. They go
Yeah.
up fast.
They go up fast, yeah.
Let me check into that.
Yeah.
No?
I got another project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, a steel building would go up fast. I mean, and they, with the insulation they've got nowadays,
Yeah.
but,
Pitch through, new doors, radiant floor.
well, if we're gonna do that, we could go higher. Because right now, we can't really lift the 10-wheeler body inside the truck, inside the garage. I mean, if we gotta work on the truck with the body up, we have to do it out in the
Would
driveway.
that be an insurable accident?
Just say loss of presence of mind.
Only if somebody's underneath it. But, if we're thinking about this, we should really open it up and start thinking about it. Because there's a lot to, it's a lot to it. A lot of design, a lot of, getting money together, it's all that. It's all, things that.
That's why I think that possibly, we should, this is, like I said, a longer discussion, but there might have to be a temporary fix for that insulation and roof problem if there's a longer conversation about how to improve that building, replace that building, whatever that might be. That it's not, can't let you go another year without insulation and ceiling in there, so.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the taxpayers don't want to. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
expensive,
paying
yeah.
a lot of heat out, and it's just going out
Yeah.
the door.
Heat cost is gonna be ridiculous for that.
So I think we gotta wait for that report,
Yep.
get his understanding of what it's gonna cost. And then we can compare that to maybe looking at a more bigger repair, like maybe that one wall that's wiggling, we can tighten that up somehow. Take it apart, build a new 6-inch wall or something. Not that I don't want a new garage for the town to park their millions of dollars worth of equipment,
Yeah.
but it might not be reachable right now.
Yeah.
So, but something that has to be reachable is a warm garage
Yep,
before next winter.
agreed.
So I'm happy to work on that, work on it however I can while I'm here.
All right. Well, I'll try to get over there this week and
Okay.
take a peek. See what we can.
Who else do we have in town who could handle that kind of job?
I think it doesn't have to be somebody in town.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Rod Mayo builds steel buildings.
Who?
Rod Mayo
Oh. Okay.
on Buck Lake Road.
It's hard work, okay.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, there's two different jobs though. A new building is one job,
Yeah.
repairing it is another job, you know, doing the insurance work is another, you know, it's all different options and sizes of projects, so.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't think we can really make much decisions until we know what the adjuster's gonna say.
I agree.
That, we really need to have that information.
Can you give any indication when that might come?
He didn't.
Okay,
He
well,
didn't.
that comes when it comes.
The email referenced it, and it just said that we're waiting on that, he's working on it, so.
Okay.
Didn't really give us a timeline as far as, when we will receive that. So, anything else on roads? I don't wanna take your whole meeting up on.
I have one V-Trans form that needs to be signed by the select board, it's the
All right.
annual financial plan.
And you wanted to talk about beavers.
No, I don't, no, not tonight.
Okay.
Wow, we've covered raccoons, we might as well cover the beavers.
Well, if they start falling through the ceiling, then we're really. So, did you guys get my phone message? Would it
Yes.
work Wednesday morning?
Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock.
So we have a meeting with V-Trans, Michelle Redmond from District 6 and whoever she brings along with her, just to go over, it's kind of just a meet and greet sort of thing and talk about different programs, grants that they might have. And there's this annual financial plan that generally they want to know how much we have spent on our roads, and they want to be certain that we've spent at least $300 per each segment of, or mile of class 2 and 3 road, which comes to about $11,000 with our town roads, and our budget is like $800 and something thousand, so
You've got
I
that
think we're
covered.
safe.
So we can confidently sign this.
Yeah.
Today's what?
23rd.
So with this, I'll be able to send them, or actually, if I could give them this.
You gonna ask her if we can get more than $200,000 for the.
Well, we're gonna talk about that. That would be nice, but.
Yeah. And any other projects? I mean, any other,
No, not to
Not
talk
yet,
about
no?
tonight. No, we're pretty much gonna limit our projects, at least grant projects this summer, so that some of the regular road work can get
Is
done.
this culvert happening this summer?
Yes.
It's already some bids.
It's okay, you're
Yeah.
happy with it, I'm sorry, contractor already.
All right, thanks, guys. If there's nothing else,
okay,
have a good evening and
you can
Okay.
stay,
You want me to stay?
please.
I'm honored.
I said please.
I can stay.
Yeah,
You wanna go, Peter?
Can go from not needed.
thanks, Peter. Yep. All right, let's move on to the town treasurer's report. Lily Barron.
Great. So first off, the majority of my report is policy-based, proposing, introducing certain things. We don't need to make a decision on anything right now, that's not what I'm asking, but just want to get this information in front of you guys.
Thanks.
So to start off, I had mentioned my meeting with PASEV, our insurance company. They have made some recommendations on an amendment for our insurance section for our school lease. That's on page 3. I did not label them page numbers today, apologies. Printed it out, and as soon as I had the big stack of papers, I was, dang it. So it's on page 4, it should be highlighted for you guys. Essentially what they recommend is that we make it a little bit more blatant, right? So it would read, school district shall maintain general liability coverage, including property damage, bodily injury, and personal and advertising injury, with minimum limits of $1 million per occurrence and $2 million in aggregate, and include town as additional insured and loss payee thereunder. Then the second portion would say, town shall procure property coverage against all perils for the premises.
I'm sorry, Lily, can you tell,
Yes.
are we still on the front page?
Yeah, so the amendment is on the front page.
Got it.
The section is highlighted on page 4. That would be amended.
So
Essentially
the one on,
replaced
the highlighted section on page 4 is the existing?
is the existing.
Oh, okay,
Yep,
all
yep.
right, so I was trying to read that.
Yep, and so I did print out one copy of the full lease for you guys to view. You also all have it in your email, so it felt a little silly to print off a whole bunch of them. So, do you want me to, pick up where I left off?
Sure, please,
Okay, yep.
thank you, sorry about the interruption.
So the school district would maintain that general liability coverage that's outlined 1 million and 2 million, and then the town shall procure property coverage against all perils for the premises for full reconstruction value. Each party is responsible for its contents and or personal property. The school district shall reimburse the town for its insurance expense for the buildings. So essentially, in the original school lease copy under insurance, it's a little bit more vague. They recommended that we put in some specific language. So if we want to do this, we can make that change, and then I believe when we would have to send it back over to the school district and have that signed for July 1st, right? Because that's when this lease renews each year. And essentially, right now, it doesn't look like this would change either the insurance that we have or the insurance that the school
Yeah.
has.
Okay, it's just a little different language.
Just, yep, just more specific. So when things pop up or arise, we have a little bit more clear guidance. Any questions? Nope, okay. So on the following page, page 5, I'll give you guys a second. It's labeled fund balance policy. So I have drafted this fund balance policy for your guys' consideration. So this policy specifically applies to the town's 2 main operating budgets, which is our general and our highway, which legally is considered one, even though we separate it. The purpose of this policy is to establish clear expectations for maintaining an appropriate fund balance. So one distinction that I want to make here, it's called a fund balance policy, right? So that's that funds report that I give you. But this policy is more specific, looking at unassigned fund balance. So that's spendable money, right? We don't owe it to anybody, it's not tied up in grants, we haven't decided that we're gonna use a chunk of money for some project in the future. It is unspoken for
Okay.
funds. So essentially why we want to carry a certain amount of unassigned fund balance is to manage risk, address unforeseen expenses, and support long-term financial stability, right? So very specifically for our case, for Woodbury's case, July to September, right? We have those first 2 months of our fiscal year where we're not getting any tax dollars in. Having unassigned fund balance will help bridge that gap essentially.
Yeah.
Right. So in this policy, it also outlines how you, the select board, will work with this unassigned fund balance policy, right? It gives you guidelines, a target and guidelines of how to use it. So according to the Government Finance Officers Association, they recommend that we maintain a minimum fund balance or unassigned fund balance of 17% of the following year's operating budget. This fund policy is recommending a target of 20%. The reason for that, for some background, our first 2 months of this fiscal year, we used about 18% of our operating budget in the first 2 years, or in the first 2 months. So a little bit more than that 17%, just the way that our bills are set up and structured, recommending bumping that up to about 20%. So in this policy, it's recommended that it will be reviewed annually, right? So if 20% isn't working for us, we want to bump it up, or if we think 20% is too much, we can bring it down. And it also, like I said, provides guidance on year-end unassigned fund balance levels. So essentially, it says if the balance falls below 20%, you, the select board, will deliberate on corrective action, how we could possibly bring that unassigned fund balance back up. Or if we go over that 20%, you guys will consider whether we use that excess money to bring down the tax rate or put it into a reserve fund. One other important thing in this policy that it does, it holds me accountable to report to you guys unassigned fund balance. Well, essentially all different types of fund balance. Non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, unassigned, which is outlined in the fund balance policy at the end of the fiscal year. So that's something that we have not done yet or previously. That funds report that I give you guys is like a funds report light, right? But it doesn't go into the full scope of what our spendable amount is. The reason why I bring this up is that if we go out for a bond for the garage or another building, this is kind of the information that they're gonna want from us.
Okay.
Is a fund balance report and what we've been doing with, and a fund balance policy as well. Yeah.
And right now, currently, we don't, what would you say that, what is our spendable fund balance right now? We're not even close to 20% at the moment, right?
No.
Right.
No. So if you, on the table, Chris, on top of this guy, if you wanna pass those out.
Yep.
So the two highlighted in yellow portion, the two item lines there, that was technically, right, this is our funds report light.
Yeah, sure.
That, what is it, 87,000 and 103,000?
You got it.
That was our unassigned spendable fund amount at the end of the year.
Okay, and that is, what percent?
What percent
of last year's operating budget?
Well, 234,000 was 18%, and we're at.
I was gonna say, it looks like 14 or 15%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
Yeah.
So just for this hypothetical, if we found ourselves in this situation and our policy said to us, we need to be at 20%. What action could the board take at like this juncture if we find ourselves at 14% or 15% of our?
One of the options could be deciding not to use a certain amount of assigned fund money. So let's say we dedicated $50,000 for a certain project next year. Instead of saying we're going to do that project, we could unassign that fund balance, or we could increase the tax rate to try and bring it closer.
Got it.
Yeah.
But it's our policy, so.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
your,
yeah,
yeah.
Do what we want.
And written in there, it's very open-ended. It essentially just holds you guys accountable to say, you're gonna look at this report and you're gonna talk about if something needs to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
And it puts us on the record as saying we have a policy at 20%. We're choosing to meet that, or we're choosing other
Not
priorities.
committed. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Seems like there's a certain amount of accountability for the select board there as well.
Yep, kind of holds us both accountable.
Yep.
Me as the treasurer and you guys as the select board, yep.
Okay.
And so we don't need to adopt this today. I'd love if you guys took a bit closer look at it and then came back to me with any additional questions that you might have, and we can pick it up again next
Okay.
meeting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think it's helpful to think about at a minimum.
So the next portion, bringing up the personnel policy again. We started off this conversation back in October, budgeting season, winter, now we're back to kind of the slow season, we can pick this up again. So where we left off is we had decided to combine the town office personnel policy and the highway personnel policy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so I had a light draft made up for you guys, in which no intent or substance was changed in this personnel policy. The only major change that was made was to remove the language on elected officials and replace that with an amendment. So the personnel policy covers all employees, and then this amendment, which an elected official would sign, says, I'm bound to this personnel policy. These are my benefits. these are the sections in the personnel policy that are not compliant with an elected official.
Got it.
So that is at the very back of the packet under agreement by independently elected officer to be bound by personnel policy. And essentially what's in here is a little bit of verbiage of what the policy does, right? Outlines the benefits that the elected officials have, and then a list of, PTO benefits, insurance benefits, and a list of sections in the personnel policy that are not applicable to elected officials. Before I move on, do you guys have any questions on what you're looking at?
No, so you're just saying this would be an amendment to the current personnel policy
Mhm.
that we
Yep,
had, if we
Yep.
choose to do it, okay?
yep, if
Yep.
you wanna go ahead and choose to do that, yep.
And this would be an each individual employee would sign this.
Oh,
Just elected officials
Oh,
for
okay.
this, for this amendment. Because the
Okay.
personnel policy, it encompasses employees, right,
Right.
all employees. Elected officials aren't technically
Okay.
employees, right? And so this is saying this personnel policy covers everyone plus elected officials, which is that amendment. So if we do want to move forward with this structure of just having one personnel policy and amendment, I would ask that the board kind of go over this amendment and have discussions independently with the elected officials of what makes sense, what looks correct, so on and so forth.
Okay,
Does that make sense to you guys?
it does,
Okay.
thank you.
Any questions before I move on?
I thought Michael was hired to do the personnel policy.
I was not hired to do the personnel policy, I was asked to help with it. When Lily became the treasurer, the select board, I believe, asked her also to work on the personnel policy. And working with Lily, she was putting way more energy and insight into it than I could ever supply. So I had been kind of the old person advising on having worked on this personnel policy, and Paul remembers well too. And, technically, we haven't had a personnel policy with the new rendition that the select board passed a few years ago that addresses the elected officials and their benefits. So that's what Lily and I have worked on, and this was something that was suggested to me when I was working on it by VLCT, the H&R person. So this would correct the kind of omission that we've had in our personnel policy. Before it would be like, so the town employee, which is the road crew member, would get this, and then this particular benefit would also apply to, so it was, each little paragraph had something if it applied to an elected official, which is basically the town treasurer and the town clerk. So it was very kind of confusing, and you had to figure out where the things were. This would definitely be much clearer. And the other thing that VLCT suggested is that there actually be, the town employees have to sign something that they've read the personnel policy and understand it. And so, but the elected officials didn't have to, and it's, so this appendix or amendment is basically just dealing with the elected officials. And it would be, again, where they would read and acknowledge that that what's stated for their benefits is what they expect, and they're okay with that, so, and then they sign off on it also. So that's, so I think it's much better this way to have that separate, and that was kind of what was suggested originally by VLCT. It's just, when I was on the select board, we never got to it, and then it kind of languished for a while, and then the select board did finally come up with a revision of the personnel policy. Well, Chris was still on the.
No, just for the road crew.
Yeah, for the
a separate
employees,
one,
but
yeah.
the elected officials weren't dealt with at all in that rendition. position.
Yeah.
So this kind of completes the process that was started quite a few years ago.
Can I ask a quick question? Presumably, someone who was interested in running for one of these elected positions could go and take a look at this personnel policy beforehand to find out if that is something,
Yeah,
Or-
if they had the foresight to do that.
if they had the
yeah.
foresight to do that, yeah.
Yeah, would be-
Well, then they would know what they were getting into,
Right.
should they be elected.
Right.
Well, the trouble you run into with elected officials is they're only accountable to the voters.
Yeah,
Right.
That's what we discovered, like, we could have all of you, or could just, I'm not signing it, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
yeah, yeah.
Nobody who's elected is over anybody else, that's the problem.
Right.
It's kind of a funny thing when, you know, technically the town clerk and the town treasurer are employed, I mean, they're paid by the town for the work that they do, but and the select board has the fiduciary kind of oversight of all of that, their benefits and their pay. But they're an elected officials, so there's kind of a separation between them and you as far as, so it's kind of a odd kind of position.
I don't live myself, just like you are.
Yeah.
So we discovered.
So,
Thanks, Michael and Lily.
Only thing I'd add is that, the personnel policy that you guys worked on for the highway crew is great. It's just that one step further of including an all-encompassing that
Yeah.
also associates with the elected officials.
I could be wrong, but I feel like there were a couple times, at least in the past year, though, that we came across some situations where it was like slightly open to interpretation.
Mhm.
That, and I can't remember what those situations are now, but
Yeah.
as we go through that policy, maybe that'll
Yeah,
we'll be able to like kind of define those things so we don't have that question.
yeah,
Come
and
on.
I could see this amendment where it does state what the benefits are, those could be different for each elected official.
Right, that's
For
what
the
it
town
looks
clerk
like.
or the town treasurer, so it would be kind of specific to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it would probably have to be, probably have to create those differences with the town treasurer and then with the elected official having, the chance to review that and say, okay, this will work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that each elected official who is getting benefits, the amendment would be specific to them
Mm-hmm.
in a way. I mean, that's the way it seems to be set up, in my
Agreed.
looking at it. So.
Okay.
yeah. And Chris, to your note of there's a couple things in that personnel policy that we had gone over, it was open for interpretation
Yeah.
and whatnot. Think structure first, and then, as we move on with this, we can kind of dig in a little bit
The
deeper.
details.
Yep, before
Yeah.
we actually adopt this personnel
Right.
policy as a whole.
Specifically, I think it was when we were looking at hiring a new position. I think some of those
Mhm.
questions about what benefits are available to somebody,
Yeah.
if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions before the last thing?
Nope.
Great.
Thank you.
Last thing on my list is an unassigned fund balance transfer, which I spoke to you guys about last meeting. So our general fund is getting pretty low. We're at about $11,000 in our general fund. We have unassigned fund balance on that fund report, that highlighted portion, in the highway fund. And the recommendation is moving about $20,000 of that unassigned fund balance from the highway fund to the general fund to avoid a deficit. And the real reason why we're able to do this is it's not current tax revenue that we're gonna be transferring, but unassigned leftover funds from the previous year. And I believe, you guys will need to have a vote for that, yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve that transfer of $20,000 from the highway fund to the general fund.
Any discussion?
Sure, just take my money.
And you don't
It's
even
all-
get to vote.
I know, right?
Elfie, it's all
I
one
know.
thing, I know.
I just had to, I couldn't let that go.
Might as well go home.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
there's,
my department's broke.
if there's no discussion, all those in favor of approving the transfer of $20,000 of prior year unassigned fund balance from the highway fund to the general fund. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, and that's
Yeah.
all for me.
Thanks, Lily.
So,
Let's move on to the updates on the buyout.
Yeah, just a few things. The closing happened on the Shattuck property on Friday. Apparently, the recording fee was listed as $75 on the HUD, and now it's actually only $60. We'll have to resolve that at some point. To that end, there was also a typo on the HUD for the fire department, so I have a new one of those, but it also lists the recording fee is $75. I did ask them, is this actually correct, considering what we just learned? Haven't got an answer yet, so I'm assuming they'll probably say, no, it's not actually correct. So,
We sign it and then have to re-sign it later.
you know, it doesn't say, it just says a representative, so if you want me to sign it, I'll sign it, and if they come back and say, oops, no, it's $60, then I'll sign that one.
good.
Yep,
Alright, very
great.
good, so I'll sign
You're in
this
charge.
one, and then, and if they go and they say, oh wait, this is not correct, and if there's any substantive change, I'll bring it to the whole board, but if it's just, no, it's, that number is wrong, then I'll sign it and move forward. So, the closing on the fire department is currently scheduled for next week. I still need to do the various property bits with the, owners of that building. To that end, I believe the owners of that building have a request that they want to bring forward.
Yes.
So,
I wondered why you were hanging around here.
That's why. We have a tanker that has lots of water in it, so it has to stay warm. So we wanna ask that we can just leave it in the building till it's warm enough to move it to the annex building, which has no heat in it right now, or we move it now. There's also the matter of the gym that's there. We could leave that there, because we're hoping to get that addition done so we can get this stuff into it.
Pre-bid meetings Thursday.
Hmm?
Pre-bid meetings Thursday.
We're
Oh,
to the
really?
bidding station, yeah.
Pre-bid meeting.
Pre-bid
Oh,
meeting
geez.
Thursday at 9.
The old station also has the boat and a trailer in it, which may as well leave them there, because we have no place to put them.
Till it warms up.
Huh?
Till it warms up.
Till it warms up, correct. So, I mean, I have one document that John had me and a couple of us signed, and Robin, the town clerk notarized it, that we would have everything out prior to closing. And we're asking that we not have everything out prior to closing, should we have to do this or make an addendum?
So the closing is gonna happen next week?
Yes,
Oh.
and there's no place to put the truck.
Hmm.
So that, we would get everything else out of there.
I think get everything out before they start to take the building down.
Correct,
Yeah, that would be
correct. But I mean, there's some boxes and a few small things,
Yeah.
clear all of that out, just the truck, the trailer, the boat, and the gym. And then,
They need a.
So the boat is in the
something
old
signed by
fire
the select board to
station?
say
Yes.
this.
Nothing in the
I think
annex?
that they probably, because all the standard documents that I have says that all basically all the property's out, otherwise it's abandoned. And so when discussion, I just suggested that they bring basically an amendment. And then if the board were to approve that amendment, then we just have that as part of those property documents.
so, okay.
Just to make things be
I was
easier on
looking forward to
everybody.
that amended tanker truck. I mean, that abandoned tanker truck.
But you don't have that amendment this evening,
I
right?
don't.
So can we authorize John to sign that amendment for the board?
That sounds like a good idea.
Okay, because we won't have another meeting before this closing.
No.
Okay.
Because I mean, when it warms up, we can just move it to the annex. The reason it's not an annex, because there's no heat.
I'm still confused about who's paying for heat for what.
We're paying for the heat. The furnace is dead. That's the problem. We're paying the heat on the food shelter now. We will be
And we're paying for heat at the
at the old station.
old station.
But you said the furnace is
Right,
dead.
so they've replaced the heater like this one in the food shelter. We didn't do our part
Oh,
yet.
but the whole fire department furnace is not dead.
The
No, that's
the
not-
annex,
wait,
the old
wait,
station's running.
Yeah, okay,
The
okay.
old
yeah,
annex
yeah.
is where the furnace died. Of
Okay.
course, that would happen when you're trying to.
Sure. I just don't wanna be hit with another one of those fees when they, I hope we switch back to automatic delivery, did we?
Are we talking about for Borns?
Yeah,
No, we did not switch back to automatic delivery, and I'm actually very happy that you brought this up because I did forget to mention we had to have another emergency drop off.
oh God, and that's like $300 every time? I
It's
thought we had
pretty
that
hefty.
straightened out.
Yeah.
And apparently you can't check the tank to see how much
There's
is
no
in
way
it.
to stick the tank. Tim tried.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez, oh, girl, I didn't.
I don't know if banging it helps, but,
No, it's underground unless you can dig under.
oh, well, that's that.
Good luck with that. We're almost through winter. Just have positive thoughts, or you won't.
Yeah, right, that should be the last one and before.
Another week and it should start melting.
Hmm?
So I said another week and it should start melting.
Okay.
Chris, so I'll make an amendment, bring it to you.
Yeah, we need to do the other paperwork for the property anyway, so if the
Okay.
board approves that, then I'll sign those things.
And how much of this do we need notarized? That we have to factor that in?
Given that I think I don't have those forms in front of me, but that form doesn't have a notary because I have to acknowledge it anyway as the town's rep to say that yes, that property isn't there. I think the one, there's that one that
This is the
says,
property
yeah.
inventory,
Can I see that one? Is that that's the one that
and then
says,
there's certificate of removal, which we're not going to be removing. It's the big things.
They're movable.
They're removable, but
yeah, this is the one where, this is the one we were gonna say, we were gonna amend this one. We were gonna add an amendment to this one, basically say,
do you want it all in one document? Or-
no, we can just reference it on this one and have it as a separate page.
Okay,
And then, so we just need to add this one before you have it notarized. That way it's, that's all.
do I need to do a re-notarization of the first one?
This one,
That, yeah,
I don't think so,
Okay.
because this one is just saying you will do this stuff.
yes.
This one's saying you did do this stuff, and it's the you did do this stuff one that we need to
Okay.
make sure is in order.
Okay.
Are you gonna be around tomorrow evening
Yes,
at the fire department?
Yes,
So I can
the
just
fire
come down and we can just,
yeah, I understand it's cold water training.
You're going swimming.
Oh.
We're not,
She
I
wants
guess
to be a victim, so go for it.
I'm going to be, it's Saturday, right?
Yeah, anyone else, we'll put you in the lake.
Yeah, at the lake, I'm going to be the victim. Throw me in.
Sure.
We have they tell me those rubber suits might leak, but
so,
We can give you the leaky one.
you better not.
When they see you sinking, they'll know which
But
one
I'll be
you
at the
were.
firehouse tomorrow evening.
okay, so I can just bring it down and we can, complete the inventory that you wanna leave, and then we'll amend this, then we'll have it all in order.
Do you wanna keep those or?
With the words of approval, I have the originals.
Yeah, for
so-
sure. I don't know that we need to make a motion to, no, I think we have the authorization.
Are we good?
John?
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
Is the process for the closing gonna be the same?
Probably, I would
Okay.
assume so.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
will be, the only thing that's likely to make things confusing is if the lawyer comes back and says, oh yeah, that's the wrong thing, then they'll have to sign a new financial form before they go and send the money over, before we go and wire it to the lawyer and all that jazz.
Okay,
But I'm guessing it's going to be the same
okay.
same
Okay,
process. I figure we'd get through this and then we'll figure out how to get the state their $15 back.
Yeah, I gave Nick a call today. I haven't heard back from him just to
Yeah.
get clarity on how that'll work. and
Yeah, I didn't
all that
quite
stuff.
understand what he'd said about his $60 refund or $60 or something,
Yeah, we'll have to figure it out.
but it's $15. I'm sure that no one's gonna send out the dogs for us just yet.
Hopefully not.
Heck, maybe like $30 after next week.
So for
Hey,
you
Bob?
guys, the day of the closing, you'll want to have that building scheduled on the league to have a property insurance and liability insurance on it. because ours, we will no longer have an insurable interest, so we'll have to drop our insurance, so you wanna make sure you get that scheduled. And we'll put our stuff on our policy as a tenant policy, I'm sure what'll happen, but even if we have insurance on that building, but we're burned down after you sign the paper, we don't have an insurable, which is not gonna pay us. So you would wanna get insurance.
So is there a policy that we can just?
You can just
transfer
add it to your
over?
league policy.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can just call them, they'll put it on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it burns down, might save us money.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you wanna make sure it's covered.
Yeah, really.
Might be a good thing.
Yeah, if we're gonna tear it down anyway, do we need to insure it?
Well, then that leads to the question of the other property too.
Liability probably.
What other property?
That's one, we just,
That's already closed.
yeah.
That's his. Oh, is that ours now? We own that now?
You do.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it does liability, yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I was thinking just.
I wanna make sure you have liability at least on it.
I'll call him.
So they're just hurt.
Yep.
Paul, what temperature do you keep the original fire department at?
Well, when we had trucks in there, we kept it at 60, I've been keeping it lower than, I think it's at 55 now. The reason to keep the fire base a little warmer is it's better when it's 20 below 0 outside to start out warmer. Takes longer for our stuff to freeze.
Yep.
Hopefully you'll have it gone by next year. Keith Coverings willing to help you with the bidding process.
I'm waiting until we get
Yeah, till
closer
regional
to the
planning
second
is-
one, and then we'll reach out to, so we can talk about both of them at once.
Yeah. I think Mike was working with Keith before. You worked with Keith before the regional planning? Regional planning, Keith's covered?
Yes.
Yeah, so he has offered to help you with this bidding process once it's time.
Okay.
I worked with him on some other projects, and he says he's very, more than helpful and to help you.
Yeah,
guys
he's
get
very,
the bidding.
very good.
He's
What
very
bidding
helpful.
process?
Well, to bid, to tear down, do all that stuff, you gotta go to bid and all that
Oh,
stuff.
okay, I thought John.
Create a project, just like anything else.
Yeah.
So
You
that's
got-
it.
you have-
I would avail myself of him as a resource.
That's very good. Yeah.
The town owns the structures, now we gotta get rid of them.
Yeah.
He will help you through the process.
And I would happy to be the liaison between Keith and select board.
That would be my suggestion for you, to engage his services, because he's very good.
That'd be
You're
nice.
gonna certify if it's lead or not, too.
What?
Debris?
Yeah, you gotta do an asbestos test,
Oh, God.
have an asbestos certificate for both properties. Oh yeah, don't tear it down all off, no.
Somebody took that freezer though. What happened?
Well, you know, there are appliances in Shedix.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
get left behind, so if
They
you
didn't all
need a
get
refrigerator,
floated
a
around.
washer and dryer, I have no idea of the condition, but.
We have our summer yard sale, town like this.
There you go.
Right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Our recovery officer cannot make it. There is a written report that was submitted. There's no new news because FEMA's still not operating. So we'll move on from that to the next agenda item, which is appointments.
I have a appointment to suggest, and Michael has one. Manuel O'Neill is a volunteer to join the Sylvia Jackson little committee with Michael and I.
And is that a motion from the board, or is it just?
Yeah, that's a motion.
Okay.
I move that we appoint Michael, Manuel O'Neill to the Sylvia Jackson committee.
All right, is there any discussion?
You'll know them all, so I don't have a discussion.
Having none, hearing no discussion, if there's no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right.
Michael, you have something?
Yes, Sarah Hedrick, who is currently a town lister, she met with the Conservation Commission at their meeting last week, and she would like to be a part of the Conservation Commission, so the Conservation Commission would recommend that she be appointed to the Conservation Commission.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we appoint Sarah Hedrick to the Conservation Commission.
Is there any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And congratulations, Sarah, and well.
Bob, are you here for something? Did you want to talk about appointment?
Well, zoning, that's coming up, isn't it?
Well,
So Sarah will be 4 years?
Oh, I don't know.
Whatever happens on the
Whatever
Okay.
conservation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess so. Kylie will be coming off.
yeah, Kylie is, will be moving out of town eventually, unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
So do you wanna talk about whether or not you wanna be the zoning administrator for another 3 years?
3 years, huh? Think I'll live that long? But, yeah, I'd be interested, but I came on because there was a need at the time, and something had to be done. And, it's been fun, I like doing it. Most everybody's pretty decent, almost everybody. It's been good. So, I don't know if, I think Graham might be interested.
We do have at least one person who's interested,
Yeah.
Graham. What's his name?
Christie?
Yeah, Graham Christie, yeah.
I don't think he's been in town very long, but that doesn't probably matter.
I think it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of conflicts with people.
I think he's been involved with like code enforcement and the like. And, of course, we don't have code here, which.
So what are you recommending that we appoint
Well,
him? Or
I
just
think,
discuss him?
there's some institutional knowledge it would be tragic to abandon. So, it should be a transition. I know I worked with you quite a bit.
So would you wanna be like the assistant zoning administrator?
For a bit, I think,
For a
yeah.
while?
Yeah,
Seems like a good,
yeah.
That would be a good way to
That's what it
move
did,
things along. We're not gonna
tell
pay you
us.
$2,500 a year though for that. We'd have to
No, I
put you
know
on
that.
some kind of a salary.
That's something else. I know that the mileage, wear and tear in the car, and the hours, there might be 30, 35 permits, but that's not all the work. There's other calls that come in quite often, and I feel like I'm kind of like an ambassador for the town to encourage somebody to build or move here. And, usually when they call, they're like very nervous about, they think they're gonna get inundated with very expensive permit process and approvals. They seem to be very relieved when they find out that they aren't gonna be prosecuted for having sheetrock in their garage. So it's, because they do come from, some people, they come from places where there's pretty strict, and very high penalties.
So at one point, you convinced the board to pay $2,500 a year, I think, because you didn't want to keep track of all the hours. So
Well,
do you
it-
think that turned out to be fair as far as?
Well, I think I figured it out, it was coming down somewhere around $10 an hour.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah, that's what I used to make.
Yeah, including some cost for the mileage of the car. And, it's, at the time, we went around the surrounding towns and what are you doing with zoning? And what are they paying? And how many permits do you have? And I think it's changed since. This was about, 4 or 5 years ago that we took a look at it.
Really?
And, so seems like everything's going up. I don't like to be a part of that. So I just wonder why it has to happen. And I don't know what the new person would expect, or if they even know what
Yeah, that's
what the pay is.
between him and us, I guess.
Yeah.
So would you suggest that we have potential candidates come in for a meeting and meet them?
Well,
I mean, I know Bonnie's
yeah.
interested, but I really don't think she would do it, take it, because,
Yeah, she was quite interested, but I think she was looking at something else besides listing. I'm not sure what it is in town. But, it does work quite nicely though, for somebody that's a lister to also be the zoning.
Yeah, well, okay, it's
That
not
saves a lot
necessary.
of trouble sometimes, a lot of
Well,
time. It does,
they know where to go and look for things, yeah.
it does. It's,
Okay, well,
So this is, so there's multiple folks that are interested in
well, I only
being,
knew of one, but you
Yeah.
know of other for Bonnie and
yeah.
and Graham.
Mhm.
and they reached out to you? They-
Actually, Skip Marcassani, reached out to me with a recommendation that, Graham was interested.
Yeah.
And he sounded like a good candidate. So, I've talked to him a couple of times since then.
But, and then in terms of Bonnie, how did that name come up?
She mentioned it within the last year,
Okay.
before we knew about Graham. But
So we could call them up and invite them to the next meeting and say if they're interested.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea, if they would, ask, make it a condition that they let Bob be the assistant,
Well, I don't think that was a
without
problem.
passing along any of his bad habits. Okay. Okay, let's go.
Thanks
If
for
we're
your,
not gonna do anything with that now, then.
thanks for the input.
Yeah, I think it's something that might be changing with the states. They wanted to take over listing,
Yeah.
and I think they got stopped because they found out these are elected positions and you can't do that. You can't just go and say, we're gonna do it now with our own assessors. They're still working towards it, and they'll get it someday, and, I think. But, this new Act 181, according to some of the stuff I've read and talked like with Norm Etkin about, it's like, it's pretty devastating. Pretty big. And,
But it won't really have anything to do with zoning.
well, does it? It is zoning. It is zoning.
No, well,
It is, it's statewide.
it's totally
zoning.
different, it's, well, whatever, okay.
Yeah.
No.
It comes down to, your use of your property. That's what it is. And there's towns, a lot of towns in the state that don't have any zoning, and they're gonna have it now. If it, I think, like A&R voted, I think last week, to delay things for a couple of years. And I'm not sure what that involves, but, there's one part of it that might not be, and there's another part that might be delayed, so, I don't know. It's big, it's a big change. So, and when there was a meeting here about it, it was like, well, it's not gonna affect your zoning. I don't see how it can in a lot of places.
No, some people might need, I mean, they're gonna change everything, but the way it is now, proposed, people might need a permit from the state and a permit from the town, which happens a lot of times anyway, so. Different standards and different permit processes, but.
Well, I think I'm gonna suggest that we move on to the next
Thank you.
agenda item, only because this is kind of out of our,
Oh, you're beyond.
while it's interesting, it's out of our, control at the moment. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Travel safely. The, next agenda item is, a Polycor, Act 250 application update. And, I don't know, Diana, if you have, Robin had some information that maybe you have today too. It's not necessarily related to the Act
What do you
250 permit, but.
You got information?
M. Shaw shut down the Quarry Road.
M. Shaw.
It's the federal,
The mining,
Which
mining,
one?
OSHA.
the original one.
No kidding.
Yep, shut it down last
I
Thursday.
see they had barricades, but I wasn't
Yep,
sure
and
what.
they said that it can't be used until it's rebuilt.
MSHA, which is basically like OSHA for mining.
Oh, I see.
Or mine
Yeah.
mine safety administration or something, something like that.
Wow, that's a lot.
And even personal vehicles cannot go on it.
Really? Oh gosh.
Wow.
How's that guy gonna get his sugar
That's what somebody else asked.
He's probably in the middle of it,
Yeah, really.
yeah.
Oh.
They shut down the whole road, not where it turns up to go to the.
The whole road.
The whole road.
Wow.
Yeah, the quarry didn't even plow into it.
Oh, wow.
I went up and took a picture.
So what's
that'll
that,
change
what's that
some
mean?
things.
They have to go to the new entrance, which is,
Yeah.
Which is longer distance.
So there's one of their
Affects us.
mitigating factors down the drain.
Yes, right.
Huh. Yeah.
So anyways, in terms of an update from the last meeting, and it's in the minutes that we approved, but the board approved requesting a Act 250 hearing at the last meeting. So that's public record. I haven't heard anything since that was submitted. Maybe you have?
Yes.
Okay.
I worked for 2 days getting everything together. John Reed, thank goodness, was able to help me with a lot of the stuff like the electronic filing and everything, all this list of people that have to get copies of everything. So we got that in by the end of last Tuesday, which was the deadline. I heard that today, I heard from him that will go to the applicant and they have 15 days to respond. So that's a good, that actually gives us 15 days to maybe renegotiate something if anybody is willing to do that. If not, the reason I asked
think that's
Alfie
up
to
to them.
stay was because if you really want to go before the district commission and talk about big road project that might happen, maybe he could put it on his front burner to do some estimating.
I'm lost.
I
I
mean,
don't know what you
he
mean.
threw out at the meeting we had, he threw out the idea that it might cost $500,000 to redo that paving and the whole, resurface the, gravel portion.
Yeah.
So if you wanna rely on that, it'd be good to have some information, because if you get to the Act 250 hearing and you just say, well, things cost more, that's not gonna,
I guess that's not
Why?
Alfie's
So-
responsibility,
Right, but
right?
do you
Well-
want me to get
What?
estimates for the blacktop resurface?
well, we talked a while ago about estimating the resurfacing of the gravel portion too.
Right.
I know you can't make an estimate on the paving, but
Well, no, but I can call a company and.
that's what I mean, yeah. I mean, if you wanna do it, or you wanna do it. you
I
can-
think I guess my suggestion is that we ask Alfie to do it.
That's-
Rather than
yeah,
suggest
that's why I-
that he's gonna be
that's why I
in front
suggest-
of
I'm
the,
all 1 foot out the door, don't
Yeah.
make me.
so if you would, that would be
Yes,
helpful
no,
for
I
us.
can call
when-
Pike Industries, they'll give us an estimate for the blacktop portion.
Yep,
I can estimate, I'll have to measure from the blacktop to, I'm assuming just to the new entrance, quarry
Yeah,
entrance.
Probably,
yeah, especially if they're not gonna be
You gotta have
using
a
that.
start and go.
Yeah,
You
Right.
gotta
yeah.
have a start and stop.
Right.
Yeah.
For estimating material.
right.
Should
and
we
trucking.
look at, we were talking about having to reconfigure that curve up there somehow? Should that be? part of
Well,
it?
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
let's
been,
not throw that in right now.
Okay,
We're too close to the end of.
right, but
That's-
that was, there was a fair amount of concern brought about that corner, and
Yeah.
the safety of that corner.
Yeah, well, maybe we could throw it in if, in light of this new evidence, that they're not gonna be able to use that lower road.
And perhaps that's like a separate, almost, project in its own, like resurfacing,
Right,
paving, and then addressing the safety concerns at that corner.
right.
Um,
Well, especially if that corner is a condition of the permit.
Yep.
If that turns into a condition of the permit, then you have to have numbers for that. And
Yeah.
They're gonna want numbers for
You
that.
probably won't though, because it's
Which, you
too
know,
late.
how do you do that? I mean, it's. We
Private
don't know if
land,
it's, we don't, it's private land, it's ledge,
Yeah,
so now you gotta jackhammer that out in order to straighten that corner up. How do you put a number to that? I mean, that's
So,
gonna be,
is that,
You say-
does Swenson own that?
I think Swenson does own that portion right there.
So you're talking about the ledge on the quarry side, as
Yes.
opposed to, when you
There's
and
a corner
Randy were
sweep.
talking about widening it on the other side, on
isn't that
the
somebody's
south
land?
side.
Well, right, course, he's gonna suggest that, cause it's gonna be cheaper that way.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was just
But to
suggesting
straight-
it'll be easy.
But to straighten the corner, you have to take the other side to straighten it, otherwise you're just making it more wide, you're making it more of a sweep.
Yeah,
Which may be sufficient, I don't know, but that's something we need to know what we wanna
Something
do
easy, yeah.
before, before we put it in as a condition or whatnot. But I can, yes, it's gonna take a bit of time, that's a lot of numbers. You know, that's gotta be 4,000 feet. And it's very wide, so I can go take some measurements. I've got a short day tomorrow, cause I got a doctor's appointment, but, I can try to do it in the morning,
That'd be really helpful, I
at
think.
least get started with it, and I can call Pikes, you know, I've got the guy's number, and the salesman, he can come and do his measuring and give us an estimate for that.
and we got a couple weeks before they,
So you would want me to go to the meeting, or you just want me to present numbers to you?
I think we just need information, we're not gonna,
somebody's gonna go to the hearing and either our attorney or you and explain why we need more money. So it's nice to have some ideas of how, you know, why we need more money.
Do we have any idea when the hearing's gonna be?
I'm sorry?
Do we have any idea when the hearing's gonna be?
No,
Okay.
Is it open to the public?
yes,
And we don't know where it will be yet.
right, they haven't set it up, like I just said, the applicant has 15 days to respond. If, in the meantime, if we can renegotiate something, you know, then maybe there won't be a hearing, but if there is one, you're gonna have to be prepared, either you or the attorney, to explain, to give some numbers.
right, but Alfie just asked, do you want him to go, and we're not asking Alfie to go to the
I
meeting.
don't wanna go.
Yeah, yeah, we're not asking Alfie to
I
go.
have enough daggers thrown at me already.
At this point, we don't know when, so it's
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
until we know when, it's a little, I mean,
Yep.
a lot could be different by the time.
yeah, well, it's up to them, if you, they'll put the, if we can't come to some agreement in 15 days, then the commission will set a hearing, and it could be in a month, or it could be 6 weeks, or 2 weeks. It's up to them, they don't work on our schedule.
So when does the 15 days start?
I don't
From the
know.
17th?
No, I think today, I think, it sounded like today, but I'm not sure. You know, her message was a little vague.
So yeah, if I have to do that, those numbers would be helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, it might take a little bit for the paving, you know, to get him out here to measure and
Yeah.
give me a number, but
Hmm.
the resurfacing of the dirt, it's just numbers, really. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I get a total number of yards and then I can put it to a number of truckloads and machine time. I mean, that's gonna be a big number.
Yeah,
I was actually thinking, as talking to Peter some, maybe that could be part of a grant. I mean, there's,
Well, when we repaved it last time, it was a V-Trans grant.
right?
Paving grant.
Right.
I might even have that information in our computers.
Yeah.
that may not help us.
Right, but
No,
both,
they
but
don't wanna-
That might not help us.
actually both, there's two different, even resurfacing gravel roads can be granted,
Yeah,
can be paid for by a grant.
but
So-
our idea is to get somebody else to pay for it.
Right, but I have a hard time believing that Polycor is gonna pay for both
Yeah, right.
the blacktop and.
Oh, they wouldn't
resur-
pay for, but we're just trying to justify the,
I'm gonna
Price
suggest
per-
that if we discuss actual, like, negotiation issues, that we would do that in executive session, at this point.
okay?
Yeah. I'll do my best to get some numbers for you,
Thank you.
ASAP.
Yeah, thank you. Let me know how I can help.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is gonna be the number for the blacktop, getting a hold of the salesman and getting him out here to.
Hopefully it's a slow time in their season.
Well, I'm sure they're putting bids together for the summer, work, so I'm
Yeah.
sure that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But, I'll reach out to him and get him out here.
Can you explain to me how you resurface the dirt road?
Add gravel.
Just add gravel, you don't grind up what's there and,
I mean, if it was real bad, you would box cut it out,
yeah?
take the old gravel, truck it away, and put in a new base with fabric and top coat,
Okay,
and that's big money. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of material to move.
yeah.
I mean, Cabot Road is wide. It's probably one of the wider roads we've got in town. So I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna measure the width and the length, and I'm gonna figure on a foot of gravel for resurfacing it. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right.
Right, yeah.
And, that's gonna be a lot of material and a lot of truckloads and a lot of grader and compaction and dust control and. So, I mean, I mean, you can do 6 inches of gravel, but it's not gonna hold up. It's not, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I think that probably it was sort of rebuilt the year that they did that new entrance, which was like 2000 and, like about 6 years ago.
Right, and they're gonna push back. They're gonna say that. They're gonna say that that's been resurfaced and.
But I think my point is that even if that's been resurfaced and even if this thing is fine now, it's gonna degrade faster. And it's gonna have to happen again, and
Right.
and that's gonna be on the town taxpayers. If so, even though it might not need to be done, next week, it's gonna have to happen in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I'm thinking, a different product too. I mean, the stuff we've been using doesn't pack really well. And so every time we grade it, those trucks come, they're going up the hill empty, and they start doing this, and
Chattering.
it becomes chattering, right? So that's exactly the phrase for it, chattering. And so I would suggest putting crushed ledge, because it packs a lot better. And it turns more to like a blacktop surface once it's treaded down. So if we were gonna do that, I would definitely recommend putting that stuff, particularly on the hill parts, which is pretty much from, most of it's all blacktop up, right? So,
It's a matter of degree. All the way up.
yeah, which kinda is a bummer, because if they are gonna start crushing there, the material will be right there. But it's a different type of material that I would recommend
I see.
for that.
How much more expensive is ledge?
The price is about the same, but it's the trucking.
Oh,
The trucking kills you, because it
You
comes
gotta go.
from Montpelier or, yeah,
Okay.
or Danville. There's crushed ledge in Danville also.
Oh,
And that would also help with the mud on the road, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And the dust too, probably.
And the dust,
Somewhat, yeah.
right, because once you get it packed down and it gets moisture in it, it stays. It's just like blacktop. I mean, it packs really well.
Didn't Pike come up with a new material that they were playing with that
They did.
regrinding?
Yes.
But if you pack that, then it's a bitch to grade it.
It's more of a challenge to grade it, but you don't have to grade it as often,
Right.
so
But
it's
it kind of
kinda,
turns more like the pavement.
right. Yeah, they're mixing some of the old asphalt in with the crushed ledge. And the asphalt acts like a binder, like kind of a glue, a sticky. And so, they offered us a load last year, and I just never got around to accepting it. They would bring us a load to just try it out. But last year was so hectic, I didn't really
The
have a
load's
place.
not really enough to try it out, or you need a
And one load's not enough, that's right. I mean, you need 10 loads on a stretch of road that you can put it out and then really just kind of watch it and see
One
how
by nine,
it
get one
acts.
free.
Yeah, yeah, right. So, yeah, I mean, I think depending on the material is gonna change the overall price too. Because a 10-wheeler going to Montpelier, it's gonna be a different cost from going to, say, McCullough's just down the street, or the quarry if it's right there. So all those, the trucking is gonna be a huge factor in the overall cost.
It's gonna be a big number regardless, so.
It's gonna be a big number.
It'd be good to know what that big number, at least ballpark, starts at.
Yeah.
So would you use our own trucks to do it, or would you get like Deos with those great big, that they're taking the grout out with?
I think it would depend on the situation and the timing and all that. I think
Yep.
if we were in a crunch for time, we'd hire trucks. I mean, our trucks could roll with them, but
Yep,
yeah, it would take 10 trucks probably. I mean, I would want 10 trucks
wow.
to keep them coming, keep the gravel there. The grader would be full-time, I mean, the grader would be busy. But.
So the road would probably be shut down during that time.
Ideally it would be easier if we could shut the road down for that, but, I mean, we do it all summer, we put gravel out and people are able to get through it. Most of the time we have the grader on site to level it out, but on a project this size, yeah, I would love it if we could close the road and just have it to ourselves.
Use the old quarry road.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've put a bunch of money into that.
that old
It's
quarry road.
certainly passable now.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a good idea.
Mike, so, Mike, with that stream bank project happens this year, that'll probably put some more damage on the pavement, huh?
Well, there won't be any pavement, they won't be digging into the bank to,
No,
but yeah, I mean,
It just
there would be some more wear and tear, but the actual work with the excavator would be down the bank, yeah.
You may have to offload material on the blacktop.
Yeah, and if it's
Sling
that
it
big
down
chunky
over.
rock stuff.
Right. So there might be some damage.
All right, thanks for helping with that.
Yeah,
It's beyond
yeah.
my
I'll get right on it.
expertise. Is there any other discussion around the Polycor Act 250 application anybody wants to discuss? All right. I've got a few, you probably wrote some down too, Diana, but items for next meeting. I've got it. And we can discuss whether any of these have to be on air, but an Act 250 and Act 181 discussion as per Retta. Sheriff's contract. We gotta start talking about the garage and maybe what happens with that, and maybe after this week if I can get over there and take a peek, I might have some suggestions. And we should review the policies that Lily brought, and the future zoning